And we're live. All right. So, who am I speaking with today?
You're speaking with me.
Who's me?
Okay. You wanted me to get more specific. Well, in your server, I'm Magna.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not a lizard girl in real life, but I do play one in video games.
Oh, okay. Well, that's. I'm immediately disappointed with this interview. You're not one in real life.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the internet. I could be whatever you want me to be, but that's a whole nother interview maybe.
I mean, I thought for sure by hearing your voice that you were definitely a tiny lizard girl, but now my disappointment is immeasurable. Um,
Yes. Ooh, woo.
that's it. That's it. That's what I
There
was
you
looking
go.
for.
There you go.
Okay. So how long have you been actually playing the game for?
This game is it at this point we just finished the 10th anniversary for 2.0, right?
Yeah.
1 point, well, I mean, I think that includes 1.0 because 1.0 was around 2013, I think. But I've played Final Fantasy 11. I was in the can't remember if it was the alpha or the beta of 1.0, but I've been
Hmm.
around since the 1.0 days.
Okay. So that's you probably
A
one of the
while.
people that's played this the longest then out of the entire FC. It's hard to find
Well,
1.0 players still.
there are, I mean, there are people who've played it nonstop. It
Yeah.
is their daily commitment, their daily escape. Now, I real life keeps me kind of busy between work and family and over the years, so I come and go like many people do. I mean, video
Hmm.
games these days, the landscape is very nomadic. Flashy, shiny new things come out, people play that, and then they move on to the next thing. But then there's a content patch for Final Fantasy 14 or an expansion. Like right now we're in the doldrums, the lull before the Dawn Trail expansion coming out in just over a month, right? I mean, end of June, like July 2nd, I think is the official release date, and we get what a 3 day head start with the pre-order.
You
But yeah,
do.
so
Yeah. Yeah, that's
so we're in the lulls right now. So I mean, I come and go, but this is the one game that I just always come back to. It just it's got its hooks in me.
it can do that. Yeah. Like you were talking about before, there are people that do just log in and play the game every day and they probably have since 1.0. I am one of the people that pretty much logs in at least once a day now at this point, even if it's just to say hi and make sure nothing's on fire. We are kind of in the lull period between big releases. Endwalker patch content has been kind of few and far between, and what's been added hasn't always been the most engaging content or the longest lasting. But that's about to change with the big new Dawn Trail expansion.
Right.
Speaking of, with the, I assume you did run the benchmark, right? I think I remember you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's in my profile pic in the Discord.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought I remember seeing that. So you've seen kind of a preview of the stuff that's coming as far as like new skills and the new classes and stuff. What are you kind of looking forward to the most in that expansion?
Well, just have something new, right? Is
Yeah.
of course the primary thing, like everyone. But
Hmm.
I got to admit, I got a soft spot for art. I
Okay.
went to art school. I dabble, consider myself a fair weather artist, and Pictomancer. I mean, just for the sheer audacity and aesthetic of it, I will pick it up and I will play it. I mean, what's better than running around with an enormous paintbrush, right? It's definitely going to be something I dabble in first. I'll probably hit that and level that before I even do any of the content. Um, I don't think we'll have a repeat of Robon Extreme,
Right.
but it's nice to let the other people kind of shoot out of the gate, get ahead of you, so you don't have to worry about log jams along the content path.
Right. Yeah. So for the people, because I know some people didn't experience Extreme. For reference, what he's referring to is there was a period of time back in Stormblood where The servers were so overloaded at a certain quest point that you had to talk to Raban, and then it would take you to like a solo duty, I think it was, that
Right.
the servers were too overloaded to put people in the new solo duty, so people actually formed queues and actually lined up in front of Raban and waited their turn.
Right. Like a throwback to the
Right,
old EverQuest days where
right.
people would self-organize and be polite and courteous and
Yeah,
respectful to one another. I didn't know what I was seeing. I had to blink a few times.
it's almost unheard of, yeah, for people to get that organized just to be able to play the game and not be just bitchy the whole time, essentially. Now, what you said earlier actually did open me up for a few questions here. So you do art stuff in real life and
As a
the
hobby.
as a
Yeah.
hobby, okay, but you went to school for it.
Yeah, but find any talented artist on YouTube
Yeah, I know,
or
I know.
Twitch, and that so many of them are self-taught. I mean, it's a talent, it's a skill.
Yeah,
Um, my knowledge and ambitions for art exceed my talents, I believe. But that said, I do dabble. It is fun.
mm,
My family is also into art.
yeah,
I'm a little jealous of some of their skills. I like to write it off and say, well, if I had like digital tablets and all these tools when I was younger, I'd be just the same as I am. Because I mean, sometimes it really is just talent.
yeah. Talent, I do believe, plays a big part in it because I love art. I love looking at artists like renditions of their fan art and stuff like that, like the really talented ones on Twitter and stuff.
Hmm.
But I can't draw a stick person to save my life after 36 years of living. Like it doesn't matter how much effort I put in. At third grade, I stopped being better at art, and that was my plateau right there. And so I get that. I get the whole like talent gap thing, and I tell my wife that all the time, like, because she's good at all the stuff that I'm not. So she's good at stuff like 3D puzzles. I can't do that. I've always been bad at puzzles just in general, but I'm good at math, and she sucks at math, and she's good at art, and I can't draw or paint or anything artistic to save my life. So I understand that. Now, since you mentioned that you're really interested in the Pictomancer job, have you played a lot of other Final Fantasy games, or has it just been like this and 11?
I have played the good majority of them, so
Okay,
I did mess around with Pictomancer back in. Oh gosh, what was it seven or I can't
it was
remember what.
6. That's what I was going to ask.
Okay,
Yeah,
I knew it was like about 6 or 7.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Because Realm in 6 is the Pictomancer there. That's what I was going to ask about if you played that.
Not a lot. That was
Okay.
I can't remember what I was into around that time, but I fell off the Final Fantasy franchise a little bit, picked it back up with 7,
Yeah.
and have played most of them since 7.
Okay, that's fair. So what job is your main class that you play in this game right now then?
Oh gosh, what job isn't? I admit I do suffer a little bit from tank anxiety, so I
Yeah.
do tend to play more the support roles.
Mm.
Don't like melee DPS at all. I just
Really?
like you said, you stopped at third grade with art. I
Yeah.
stopped at level 3 with melee DPS. I mean, I can't ninja
Yeah.
for a darn,
Mm.
and though I do kind of like dancer. It's ranged, right? But
It
when it
is.
comes to DPS classes, I primarily do dancer and red mage. Red mage is a nice utility class. You bring that insta combat res and
Yeah.
well, I call it a combat res. I mean anyone can res in combat. You got that insta cast, right?
Right.
Not on the swift cast cooldown, but yeah. So I do enjoy red mage and dancer, but I primarily do heals. Like white mage is, I don't want to say easy mode, but I could
It
I
kind of
could fall
is.
asleep. I could kind of fall asleep playing it.
Yeah.
But I do like Sage. Sage is growing on me.
Yeah. Yeah. a few notes about that. So, like, Red Mage is, like you said, a very handy utility class for that battle res. That was actually way back, way before you joined, when we were doing Savage raids in the Stormblood Savage raids, and we were just sort of learning them from scratch. I went as a Red Mage, even though it wasn't my main class, just for the battle res because I was kind of flexible, and it came in clutch several times. Just being able to suddenly, res the healer that got one shot by a mechanic and not
Right.
have to put additional stress on the second healer. Is super useful. Now, Sage is a good healing class. It's probably the most fun healing class in my opinion out of all of
Oh,
them.
absolutely. I would agree with that.
It feels the most involved. White Mage is kind of easy mode for healing in my opinion. It is the one that I recommend to people that are brand new to healing because it is so simple.
Yeah.
And I don't think that a lot of even like White Mage mains would disagree with the ease of the job. So
I'd say I wouldn't throw a stone at that glass house, but I
no,
mean, if you're going to play white mage, you need to get used to throwing stones.
that's true. You'll be doing
That
it for
and
several levels.
glare, 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 glare.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of glare. Also, make sure to calibrate your monitor's brightness down a little bit for the holy spam. Otherwise, you
Oh,
might
oh,
go blind.
yeah, yeah.
Now, you said you played Final Fantasy 11.
Hmm.
Have you done the regular Eureka stuff here?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a real treat. I have not finished Eureka. That's sort of, I wouldn't say a regret, but it's
Hmm.
on my list of things I really want to go and finish. Some of the glamours from Eureka, the glowy armor and weapons. You
Yeah,
just need to get you just have to have that in your arsenal.
yeah.
Your
No,
armor arsenal.
yeah, no. It's they have some really nice glamours in there, but the big reason why I was talking about that is that I never played Final Fantasy 11, but from the people that I know that have, the closest thing in this game to 11 that they always compare it to is Eureka. Is that kind of true?
Um, I mean, there's a lot of throwbacks to the mobs
Yeah,
there. I think, but I mean, 11 is kind of the granddaddy of 14. I mean,
yeah,
the Elizons, the Galka, which are now the Rodigan, the Mithra, cat girls. That everyone. I mean, you're one, right?
I am.
But back in the day, in 11, back in my day, the you could only be a female Mithra,
No,
and it was gender locked, and people would harshly criticize it. Where are my cat boys? Where are my cat
right,
boys? And
right,
and then eventually with 14, now you got cat boys. Oh, they'll never make that mistake again and introduce gender locked races.
right.
But we
And
got bun boys, and we're working on
eventually,
the Roth girls, right? The Roth
right,
girls are coming.
right. Roth gals are coming. I know Bunny is excited about that. He's gonna be fantasiaing into a Hrothgal as soon as they're available. So in 11, how long did you play 11 for?
Oh gosh, I played that to death. I did stop playing it though. I mean it as soon as one came out. I mean I was done with 11.
Hmm.
I mean it was good for its time, but the UI, the interface was awful. And I have a friend who still plays it to this day because it's still
Yeah,
alive.
it
It's
is.
still out
Yes,
there.
I know. It's been like
People are
20
playing it.
years. Yeah,
I can't understand it, right? But there are some people that don't mind that retro gaming, and I mean, you could probably tell I'm a little older,
yeah,
but you know, I I played Pong,
right.
right? And when we got slightly better graphics, I was done with Pong. Give me something else. Give me
Mo-
something new.
Moved on to
I
Joust. I get you.
Yeah, right. And then Donkey Kong and
Yeah.
what was Zaxxon, Robotron.
Mhm.
If you ever
Got
had
to
an
play Missile Command. Yeah.
Intellivision, Tron Deadly Discs, that and AD&D were my favorite games on the Intellivision.
I haven't heard of Tron Deadly Discs out of all this time. So
I was a
that's a new
big
one to me.
Tron,
Yeah.
big Tron fan. I loved that movie.
Yeah, for the time it came out, and it was actually pretty advanced. Tron was
Yeah, I mean the quote unquote CGI
right.
trapped in a video game world. It was the original Western world's isekai,
It
right?
was, yeah, it was. I watched it way after it came out. I don't remember exactly what year Tron came out, but I don't think I was quite born yet at that point. And I watched it
I, I'm,
after.
I'm, I'm, I'm just going to do random emotes. Well,
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I watched it like years and years after it came out, and it's still kind of impressive, honestly, after all this time.
yeah, what did you see the remake? What did you think of that? With
I
the
did see the remake. I kind of liked the remake, honestly. I only watched it the one time though. It's been several years. So, oh no, are you still here? Uh oh.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, there you
That mute does not work as the mute worked fine. The unmute, however, was having problems.
are. I have my UI turned off, so I couldn't see if there's a disconnect icon in the game or not. You just went
No,
silent, and I'm like, either he really hates the Neutron movie or he's disconnected. Like,
no, I actually did really enjoy it. It was well done.
okay, yeah, no, I like it. Now we have like the newer versions, kind of similar to that. Like, what was that one? Ready Player One or whatever.
Yeah, that was pretty good. A
Not
lot of
bad. A lot of sponsored things in
yeah,
there.
yeah. I was going to say fan service, but
Yeah,
anyone into anime
yeah.
would partially agree maybe, but
Well,
yeah, there was definitely a lot of franchise love in that game
yeah.
for other efforts.
Yeah, no, the whole like video game movie scene has changed a lot since then. We got a lot of what I always call sponsored content. I don't know if it's technically they sponsored to be put in there or not because you got that stuff and you got like Wreck-It Ralph and things like that. You know, it's got like
Yeah.
Zangief in there and other characters. So, as someone that didn't experience FF11 like at all, I have seen videos of FF11, and I do agree the UI and pretty much everything about it seems pretty outdated by this point.
It was awful.
It looks very slow.
No, I'm coming from a creative, design, artistic UI UX design background, and
Yeah.
I just I at the time I remember thinking I could do this better. So now, that said, my programming skills were not probably up to snuff. I'm sure there are reasons they did it the way they did.
Well, they had to make it work on PlayStation 2. So,
Well, right, true, true. It had to be console friendly. Yeah.
right.
All right. I'll give you that. That's a fair shake.
Right, you had to have like that internal hard drive add-on, and then you had to have internet connected to your PS2, which no one had those things.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. But it does look very slow and very clunky. I also don't know a lot about the class system in that game. I've heard it's a little different. What class did you used to play back then in 11?
Oh man, White Mage.
Really?
I loved White Mage. Well, it was the primary healing class, right? So I played White Mage and then I played Red Mage. Red Mages were the mana batteries in that game.
Oh, okay.
The what's the word? The play cycle. The would be end game. You would go out to like, oh gosh, what was the Velcrin Dunes or the Dunes?
Mhm.
And you would get a party together and you would sit in the dunes and then someone would go out and pull mobs to you and you just rinse and repeat, execute skill combo chains and just go nuts. And everyone wanted a red mage in their party because it helped to regen mana for the healers and others in the group who were doing spell casting. But yeah, I have vague, foggy memories of those days, and I played on a Japanese server because
Oh.
I spent some time growing up in Japan, and
Really?
took the language in college as well, and went over there a couple of times as a English speaking practice partner.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's now that said, I haven't spoken Japanese conversationally in years. But the last live letter, right? We had the last okay, FanFest, right? That we had, or no, the
Right.
14-hour stream was the last thing that we did.
Right. Yeah.
That
We're
I could maybe pick up every fifth word
right.
and understand by context roughly what they were talking about. But
I mean, hey,
yeah, it's
that's better than what I got out of it. And anything that wasn't translated directly on screen, I don't understand a word of Japanese. So, so all the additional context they were providing by like they show the slide, they show the translation, then they talk. Everything they said while talking was completely lost on me. So if they had provided any additional context, I have no idea what that context was.
naruhodo.
No, nothing.
Okay.
How was Japan the times that you went? I'm sure people would be
Oh,
curious about
I
that.
was I was young
Hmm.
at the time, and it was a beautiful country. I mean, I stayed with friends, family friends, just outside Kyoto. So I didn't go into Tokyo a whole lot, but no, it was a good time. Just the shrines, the countrysides, the cherry blossoms, the sakura season was just incredible. I mean, you see those movies, right, of people just walking or riding through fields of
Yeah,
cherry blossom trees with
I,
them falling, you know.
I I'm bad. I always think when I think cherry blossoms, I think of one of the end scenes from The Last Samurai. If you've ever seen that,
Oh, is that was the
the,
Tom Cruise one, right?
yes, the Tom Cruise one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
What happened? What scene was this? I can't remember.
so at the near the very end, and I guess spoilers for like a 15-year-old
Or for
movie at this
a
point.
20-year-old movie, yeah.
Right. At the very end, he's joined the samurais. They're charging
Wait,
against.
pause. If you've not seen the movie, pause
Yes.
this video and go watch it and then come
Yes.
back.
Yes, you have to watch it as required watching now. But at the very end, Tom Cruise has joined the samurais. They're charging against the updated like military of the shogunate, and they start getting mowed down by the Gatling gun. And like the his Japanese friend mentor, gets shot and is dying. And
Right.
the his like one of his life goals was to see like the perfect cherry blossom or something like that, and like cherry blossoms start falling as he's dying, and he says that they're all perfect. That scene, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm all sad.
I brought the mood down. Now we're all depressed.
Have you seen the speaking of Japanese movies
Hmm.
or Japanese inspired themed movies, have you seen the redone Shogun? James Clavell's Shogun?
No, I've heard great things about that, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It's worth a watch if you have any
I
interest in that era
I do.
Japanese
I do.
history.
I have a lot of interest in that area of Japanese history, and I'm surprised that I've held off from watching it for so long. I just don't watch much in the way of TV shows anymore. So,
No, neither do I. I.
yeah,
I cut the cord a while back. If
yeah,
it's not on YouTube or streaming on Twitch or
yeah.
other streaming services, I don't see it. I don't watch it.
That's pretty much how I am. I throw up a YouTube video to listen to while I play games on my free time, and then I'm working, and that's pretty much my entire experience. About the only one that I took time to watch recently was the new Fallout series on Prime. I have seen all that, but I made time
That
for
was
it.
good. That was good. That was well done.
It was very well done. I'm a huge fan. If anybody's on the fence about watching that, do it. If you've played any Fallout, even if you haven't played Fallout, you will watch the show, and then you'll go and find a Fallout game to buy on Steam or something.
Right, and
It's
I mean, do it soon because I know they were having lots of sales
yes,
on that recently.
yes. Although, word of warning about Fallout 4 right now, they updated it and they broke it, so
Uh
maybe don't
oh.
buy that one right away.
Yeah, all right, maybe give it a few months, right? I
Right,
mean,
because
we got Don Trail coming out. You won't have time to get
it
too involved.
it is still Bethesda, so they break things. So just expect that. But no, it was very good.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
It was very good. I'm glad I took time to watch that. Shogun is the next thing on my list to actually start watching. Um, I I really enjoyed. I'm gonna be showing my age a little bit at this point. If anyone even knows what I'm gonna be talking about, which most people probably won't. Back on the Super Nintendo, there was a game series called Nobunaga's Ambition, and
Oh, yeah, that's a good game.
it is, yes. I played that a lot. I played that, and then on the Chinese side of things, I played the Romance of the Three
That's in
Kingdoms
Three
games.
Kingdoms. I knew it.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. My first one was number two.
There you go.
Yeah, and so I grew, like, obviously I'm older now, and now I have like Total War Shogun 2 and Total War Three Kingdoms, and I play those all the time. So yeah, I'm very interested. That's right up my alley.
That's nice.
Now, for kind of going back to the game side of things here, since I assume on your main characters you're all caught up to the end of Endwalker and you've done basically everything, right?
Well, let's say that.
Let's
No,
say
I'm
that.
not. See, because I have this problem. I
Mm,
step away from the game for a little while. I come back. Granted, I've got more than one, but this one is specific to Final Fantasy 14. And like when I first met you, I'm just like, oh, I was coming back. My old FC kind of, I don't want to say dried up and blew away, but
right.
if it did, it would still feel about the same.
Hmm.
But it's there's just not a lot of activity there. Lull aside, right? There's not a lot of
Right.
activity. There hadn't been for a while, so I make up new characters, check out servers because I'm a chatterbox. I'm very into talking and meeting people, and if you got a good page on the community finder, I will probably have hit you up or thrown a character in your FC, right? And I really like the design of your guys' page, right? And that spawned a conversation with the artiste behind the work
Right.
there.
My wife. Yeah.
You're okay if you're going to say it, yes, your wife.
Yeah.
And I complimented her on it, and now I'm looking at some of her stuff, and
Hmm.
we geek out over some art stuff together. So yeah, no, it's good, and so here I am, right?
Yeah.
And I've had what, three characters in the FC now. This one I think will stay.
Okay.
Now that said, I'm kind of wishy-washy, right? I'm very casual. Work and
Hmm.
family keep me kind of busy, so I'm also a little bit of an insomniac. So you might catch me on at odd hours, right?
Yeah.
So if you are ever up late and you can't get to sleep and you just want to chat, I may be sitting in Discord because I got nothing else better to do, and I'm really trying to fall asleep, but
Hmm.
you know. Come tell me a bedtime story. Make me go to sleep.
There you
But
go.
yeah, so I can be on at any given hour, really. I get by on very little sleep, which is why maybe this FC was a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel like you joined the right one for that purpose. So yeah, anybody wants to come read Magna McCon here, a bedtime story, be a personal ASMR.
well, let's just stick with the stories. ASMR, I don't know. Now I admit I do
Mhm.
sub to, oh gosh, what's it called? Fire Kitchen, I think on YouTube, where this guy just out in the wilderness just fries up steaks, and you got that really nice
Oh,
sizzling. Man, I tell you, it makes me hungry
right.
rather than sleepy, but that's still some good ASMR.
I can't say that I'm guilty of viewing any sort of ASMR stream or anything like that. I've always felt a little weird about it. I I think it's because like my first experience with finding out what ASMR was through like Twitter, and it was always like the sexual ones where it's like this is the sound of a
Yeah,
woman licking something, and I'm like I don't want this. Like,
that that I guess does fall within the genre, if you will,
right,
but
something entirely
yeah,
different.
Twitter is not a good first impression for
No,
anything.
no, it's not. It's really
But
not. Um,
But consider it more of a sort of white noise, something you want up
Right.
in the background, things like that. So fire kitchen's good for that.
Mhm.
Rainstorms, thunderstorms are good for that.
Yeah.
All these help get to sleep, like videos that run
Right.
for loop for 10 hours.
I'm
But
I would enjoy probably the rain ones. We do have a white noise machine that has like rain and thunderstorm sounds in the house that my wife
mhm.
bought to help her fall asleep. It helps me too. I love the sound of rain and thunderstorms. I'm also a little weird because for some reason, and it's always been like this, the sound of vacuum puts me to sleep. I have no idea
you
why.
know, yep. I yeah, vacuum noises are good for lots of things. Scaring the heck out of animals.
Yes.
Cats want to attack it. But yeah, let's just say that there have been little ones in the family over
Hmm.
the years that some it was car rides, others just run a fan or a vacuum cleaner and they're out cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's got their sleep frequency. I've not found mine, but but it's a journey. Well, we'll see if I eventually do.
I think yeah, mine is definitely the vacuum thing for some reason, and then rain to like a certain extent. I had a friend growing up who his was the fan thing for some reason. He came, he stayed the night one night, and we were like I don't know, in like fifth grade or something. He's like, I can't fall asleep without a fan, and that was my first experience with that kind of thing. I'm like, that's weird. All right, and now that I'm
Yeah,
older, I'm like, I kind of get it. Like I have a hard time sleeping too, so that's why
we're
most
all
nights I get like 4 hours.
yeah. That's about my sleep
Yeah.
schedule as well. Most nights
Yeah.
we're all wired a little differently, right? I mean,
Yeah, we are. I can't ever go to sleep before my body is ready to go, and my body's never ready when it needs to be. And
yeah.
then
For me, it's the brain. The brain just does not stop thinking.
yeah, that's a problem too. I'll sit there if I'm not too tired for me to think, I'll lay there in bed and think about all the stuff that I have to get done or like I'm trying to fix some sort of problem that's going on or just anything.
Hmm.
And then it just doesn't stop and I'm there for like 2 hours. So,
And for anyone that's gonna comment and say count sheep, no, trust me,
no.
tried that from very early on. It does not
It does
work.
not do anything. I'm with you there. That doesn't work worth a damn. I can do multiple things at once in my head, so all I do is count the sheep and then
Right.
still think about what I'm thinking about.
It's like this is boring. I need something else. I'll keep the
Right,
sheep going,
right,
as a multitask. But
right. That's a background process, and then here's the main window that's up in my my blue screen of death in my head. Um,
what is my next alt in Final Fantasy 14 going to be? I need to. There's a 50 character limit, and I can delete one to make room for a new one. So
yeah, you might
let's
be the
let's
only
think about that.
person that's got more alts than I do in the FC. Um,
Oh well, I don't clutter. I
hmm,
deleted those other ones, man. I decided on this name for various reasons,
hmm.
and I'm like, well, those other names were fun, but I'll run with this one.
I've got 8 different characters on this server, and then I've got probably combined 8 more between other servers where I've checked stuff out.
Wow,
And yeah, they're
you heard
not
that
all
here?
played a lot, but
Oh no, he's totally hiding. He's
I
moonlighting over there.
no, I will admit that I took a couple of new characters to different servers and joined other FCs to try to steal ideas. Like,
Well, I
I'll
mean,
admit that.
we can talk. Oh no,
Oh no, you ran away from the interview.
I don't. All right, didn't mean to flash my tail in people's
Oh
faces.
no,
Let's
this
sit
is
back
lewd. I'm
down.
gonna have to put a sensor over the screen.
All right, but no, I like I said, I love people, community, and it's fascinating how some people run or quote unquote don't run. Oh wait, I had where did that go? Oh, I had air quotes all queued up and ready to go here, and now I can't find it.
It's gone.
Can we even
It's
do?
lost
Oh,
forever. I don't
it's
think
it's
it works
grayed
while you're
out.
sitting. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work while you're sitting. I
Yeah.
should have done it while I was standing.
Damn.
But a lot of people, it's weird because this was sort of the origin story of one of the FCs that, well, multiple FCs I'm in, is there's a vehicle that drives engagement and recruitment for it. And many times this is a podcast. So you've got many gaming communities that follow popular streamers like Grinding Gears, Kyle
Yes.
and Garrett,
Yeah.
who actually have foundations in the other FC I was mentioning.
Really.
Yeah, they're involved with the gaming community, or were years ago involved with the gaming community I was in, and podcast efforts move into different areas, and the gaming landscape has changed so much that it's hard for a single podcast to drive engagement in multiple games at the
Right.
same time. You have guys and gals who manage that. But Grinding Gears, for example, they are hyper focused on Final Fantasy XIV right now.
Now, yes. Before they were like Nexus News or whatever, and they did WoW.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's 3 years from now, who knows? I mean, we've got Ashes of Creation in the wings, where we've got who are the guys I know doing stuff for that? I'm throwing out shout outs to these guys, so apologies if we're not supposed to be advertising,
Sponsored.
but not sponsored, but Lore Keepers, I think. But I've been in all I don't want to say all, but I think I've been in 99% of the MMOs that have come out in the last 20 years.
Damn.
I think I started in the Realm Online way back when, and for anyone who knows, that was more than 20 years ago. Yes, but
I started to say I don't even know that one.
Meridian 59.
I have heard of that one.
EverQuest Days. Was there a King's
Did you do
Quest
Ultima
one?
Online?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I did.
Okay.
Lord British Ultima Online.
Yeah.
Core Pathlam or whatever, but or run into a building and yell bank. That was a big thing to do there. That's how you accessed your bank.
That's so weird to think about nowadays.
Yeah, Star Wars, The Old Republic. Oh gosh, I loved that game when it came out, but it did not hold up well. Now that said, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying it lost my interest over time.
Right.
But great storytelling game. That was a really story-rich game.
I have heard a lot of compliments about the story there, to the point where I kind of wanted to try it out, but I couldn't get past like the kind of semi-clunkiness of the beginning.
The graphics are okay, but
there's
something about it that just makes me twitch a little bit. I just can't play it.
It doesn't feel right. Yeah, it doesn't.
Now that said, the graphics in this game are starting to show their age, right?
They are.
Even with the update we're getting, I don't want to poo-poo on it completely, but some of the changes, most of the changes are lighting based, some polygon count upgrades. It's very nuanced, right? It's somewhat subtle in certain respects. Now that said, with what they've done with like the grass and the landscapes, with the moving grass, you walk through it. I mean, it's fantastic. It's going to be a beautiful game to play still, even for years to come.
Right.
But we've got games like Ashes of Creation, which I've already mentioned once. So obviously, I'm following that one's development. And do you know Greg Street, Ghostcrawler? Have you heard of this guy?
I've heard of the game I've heard Ghostcrawler before. I don't know in what context.
Greg Street, who was one of the big Blizzard guys back in the day, a real straight shooter. They had problems shutting that guy up sometimes, but I think he's even owned that to a certain respect. But he just really tells it like he is. He's got vision. He just knows how to make a good game. He just started his own studio recently called Fantastic Pixel Castle, and they are working on a new MMO. Now they just got started. This is years away, right? Before we even hear about any rumblings of a friends and family alpha, probably. But it's codenamed Ghost. So that go check it out. Go Google that or Bing it or whatever it is you do. But I mean, we've got guys that are still trying to hit that winning formula of what is a good MMO now. Right. the Riot MMO that was being worked on, they kind of backpedaled on that, and they've kind of, I don't want to say they put it on the back shelf, but they have shelved it a little bit, right? Because I think a lot of folks are just having trouble right now with how do we make an MMO that's really engaging and appealing to the current generation? I mean, we still get new players in 14, right? But I not as many as we used to. I don't feel.
No, although I do feel like part of that is because of like the sort of patch content drought compared. Also, it's the most recent like big influx of players happened in Shadowbringers with the WoW Exodus.
Right.
And all the streamers were coming over, and then that was a huge player base, and then like maybe half of those people that came over with the Twitch streamers and stuff maybe stayed because the other half they were expecting like WoW 2.0 or something, and that's not what this is. So
if you're not into Final Fashion, which is the true end game, I mean, you got to move on.
And if you're the type of person that just tries to rush to the end game to get to the end game raids and that's all that you care about, this usually isn't the game for you.
No.
You have to take your time. You have to like the story, and if the story doesn't stick with you, then it's usually not your game.
And this game's story, the emotional roller coaster it puts you on. Now, that said, if you're coming into the story fresh and you're experiencing it for the first time, take your time. But there will be callbacks to stuff that you got way back in the original 2.0 content.
Yes.
For the current game, they really do bring it all back around, right? It's a very well executed story for this game.
It's ludicrous to really think about how many things they've brought back and little things that you didn't think would matter at all. Small characters, small side characters come back, and then by the end of the game, by the end of Endwalker, you care about this weird little side character that you thought was just like a one-off thing. And I've never had another game do that. Now,
I'd start naming off characters, but I really don't want to go there for people who haven't experienced the story yet, but yeah. One begins with an H, another begins with an M, another begins with an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, but
Listen, all I'm saying, you guys, is that Hoary Boulder is the best character in the game. No, not really, but
he is great.
He is great. He actually is great, and you don't think like you meet him back in A Realm Reborn, and you're like, "Who's this guy?" And he's like, "Oh, he's a little goofy, whatever." But
do we even want to talk about Biggs and Wedge?
Oh man, there's a lot to be said there.
There's a lot of nods to other franchises as well in this game.
Yeah,
and the callbacks they do to their own games. I mean, what's the recent one we just did with the 16 crossover, right?
Right. Yeah. The 16 crossover was honestly, I like that crossover a lot. That fight that you had to do. Now, it did bring up one of my small criticisms of the game. Sometimes is that, and this was something I had a hard time getting used to at the beginning too, is that a lot of cutscenes are not voiced. You do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's fine. Like I'm used to it now, where like some of the smaller cutscenes not being voiced, I'm okay with. But then other ones really should be voiced, and that was a thing where like this FF16 crossover really kind of drove that home, because I've played through all of FF16. I know what the similar scene in that game sounded like voiced, and I know how much stronger of an impact that was.
It was full voiced, right? I mean, that game was fully voiced.
That game is fully voiced. There is no like reading you have to do on your own. So that scene was basically like almost a one-for-one scene, with some changes, obviously, from 16. And that scene in 16 was really powerful. The scene in 14 missed some, emotional
it missed the mark. Yeah. I mean, they had a lot to convey in a very little amount of time too. But without beating this over the head with a clue by four, it was.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that story is now gone. If you've not done it, you've not experienced. But I'm sure it'll be back, so we won't ruin it for you. But suffice to say, there's a lot of inner turmoil that didn't really hit home. With this brief crossover event.
And the 16 is going to be more, impactful because you see the scenes that happen beforehand. You see what's happened to him. And,
Right.
all of that is really powerful because it's voiced. And because the voice actor, Ben Starr, actually does such a really good job.
Ben Starr.
Ben
Yeah.
Starr, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love Ben.
Oh,
Um,
Clive/Ben.
but that is one of my minor criticisms is that I feel like more scenes should be voiced that aren't. But I'm kind of used to it by this point. Now
Yeah.
that does kind of roll me back around to the question I was originally trying to ask, probably like 20 minutes ago, because we went off on a lot of tangents by that point. But
We'll go on many more. How long do you have? No.
not that long. We're actually at the 45-minute mark already.
Wow, really? Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So someone's watching the time. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I had to bring it up earlier and put it in the second window because I forgot to do that. But yeah. So out of what you've done so far, what has been your favorite expansion in the game?
Oh yeah. All right. See, now I knew this was coming
Yeah.
because we talked a little bit before the interview.
Yes.
So all of them. Wink. No. Uh, I really, really loved Shadowbringer.
Yeah.
It's just oh gosh, that it just hit me in so many different ways. Now that said, I love Kugane. Stormblood was a great, great follow up to Heaven's Word. But of all of them right now, the Shadowbringer kind of threw the story wide open. We got for the first time a glimpse into sort of a bigger backstory to what's going on, right, to everything. So
Right.
story, the raids, the dungeons. Yep, Shadowbringer, hands down, my favorite so far. And
All
I do
right.
love some Dark Knight. I do love some Dark Knight. That's my favorite tank.
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
aesthetically, I still have nostalgia for the old sword and board. Paladin will always have a place in my heart. That and they have some really good glams.
Yeah, they do. Paladin has some great glams available. The to kind of bring it back to Dark Knight because I my last interview that I did was yesterday, and I can't remember if I said it on interview or off interview, like afterwards. But for anybody interested in tanking that actually cares about story, do the Dark Knight quest from level 30 to 50. Just
Yeah,
do them. Like I can't overemphasize enough. Do the Dark Knight quest from 30 to 50. Don't look anything up beforehand. Just
yeah.
that's
If
great.
you want emotional roller coaster and turmoil, I mean Dark Knight. It's
Yes.
edgy. It's dark.
Yes.
Go figure.
Yeah, it is, but it is my favorite set of job quest class or class quests in the
I'm
game.
trying to think. I mean, I've not really done Reaper or anything. Well, I guess Reaper was kind of the last class, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've not really done anything with Reaper, but I've done definitely 30 to 50 of all the jobs in the game right now, and uh, I gotta say, I think Dark Knight's probably my favorite.
Yeah. It has the best job quests in my opinion, just period. There is a period after like the 50 quests, like level 50 to 60 isn't that big of a deal for the job quests. They're okay. But that 30 to 50 period for that whole like quest line is amazing. Go into it blind, you won't be disappointed. Now, Dark Knight is also my favorite tanking class, just in general. I like the aesthetic. I like the way that it plays. Paladin, I want to like more than I do. Honestly, it feels a little simple, I guess. And there's a lot of spell casting in that for like offensive spells by the end, which feels a little odd to me. But it is
If you
also
can't
very handy.
cover your healer, what can you do? I mean, come on.
It is the only job that really covers. You can put the Black Knight shield on like your healer, and I do that a lot, like the
True.
Dark Knight shield, the Blackest Night. But honestly, like the cover system is cool with Paladin, and it is very like aesthetically, it's very pleasing. Like it is very much a sword and shield class that if you love sword,
Sheltron.
yeah, Sheltron,
Sheltron.
yeah,
Sheltron.
Sheltron, and then the what was it arms of passage or whatever, where you just put
Right.
your
Oh,
shield in
the
front of you
wings.
and the
The
wings. Yeah,
wings.
that is
Yeah.
the best one to use. Like that's the
That is
best feeling.
probably the prettiest looking ability in the
It
game.
is. It is. I love that. That's my favorite tank ability, and it's not even on my favorite tank. So, but yeah, I guess since we're at the 50-minute mark now, I guess we'll have to wrap up. Otherwise, it's gonna take me forever to get this thing out.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Sony Vegas can do it.
it's not. I'm less worried about Vegas, although Vegas does crash a lot, but
It
uh,
does.
it crashes all the time. The more splits in the video I have to make, the more likely it is that it's gonna actually crash. But also my upload is not that great, so it's gonna take me like 3 hours to upload this.
You need to get DaVinci Resolve. Have you looked at that? You need to pick
I
that up.
haven't. No, I'm so afraid of learning a new video editing program because I know what
Oh,
little I know how to do already in
it's
this.
very Vegas friendly.
Is it?
Once you've done, or we'll talk offline.
Okay.
But yeah, I got videos, I got pointers. I use DaVinci, so
Okay.
I do some audio and video work on the side.
I'm not.
I do
I'm
a
not.
lot. I do a lot on the side. That's why I don't get to play as much as I want.
You're very busy. I don't. I'm not like fantastic at editing. I know the basics, and I know how long it took me to learn those basics, and I was always afraid of having to relearn them in a new program. It's the
Ah,
only
you're
reason.
young. You got plenty of time.
I'm 36. I'm not that young.
Gosh, that's like a newborn. Come
Okay.
on, man.
I
All right.
have a little free time because of my job, but yeah,
Yeah, well, we're all there. We're all
right,
there.
right. But yeah, to wrap things up here, any final words, anything else that people should know about you, or that you just want to sort of end with on this?
Just track me down. Talk to me, man. Let's talk. I got lots of things I want to say. I will say yes, more voice acting. Ben Starr, yeah, he's good. What's the other guy? Noah. Funny stories, blah blah blah. But yeah, let's play the game. Let's have fun. If you're ever around, want to hang out and voice chat, hit me up. I'm always down for a conversation.
Okay, that sounds like a good spot to end it. Well, thank you for showing up for the interview. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I'll tag you when I finally get this uploaded. I have no idea what my schedule's like. I think it might be like Wednesday or Thursday by the time this comes up.